All right, everyone. Thursday, the 4th of September show, which is brought to you by Practical CBT, simple support for men's mental health. Today, the news continues, the fallout continues. I just want to say a big thanks to, I think, the over 400 of you who subscribed to the channel yesterday. Got us over 17,000, which is great news. And if you are watching this and aren't yet subscribed, then why don't you come over and join the rest of us in the winners enclosure? It's completely free and takes a couple of seconds out your day. Just do it. So we spoke about the squad for the Europa League yesterday, and I kind of gave my predictions. The actual squad emerged yesterday, and it was certainly quite interesting. So this is the squad that has to do is the whole season in the Europa League, effectively, all the way to the final in Istanbul on May the 20th, which we're definitely going to be in. The caveat to that is that you can make 3 alterations to your squad after the league phase before the knockout rounds start. So if we do get that far, we will be able to make 3 changes. But in terms of this squad, a 24-man squad announced yesterday. 24 rather than 25 because we were only able to name 7 homegrown players rather than 8. So our overall squad size had to be shrunk by 1. As expected, new signings Marcelo Saracchi, Michel Ange-Balikwisha, Kelechi Iheanacho and Sebastian Tunekte are all in, as is Alistair Johnson, who is likely to miss at least the first half of the league phase. I think he's pretty much ruled out for the first 4 games at least, but maybe we see him later on. He's in. Austin Trusty in as well. He is out at the moment due to plantar fasciitis, but he is in the squad, which I guess is good news there. In terms of the players who missed out, though, Hayato Inamura, not really a surprise at all, given that he also didn't make the squad for the Kairat tie, and Brendan Rodgers has kind of talked him down at virtually every opportunity he's had. Callum Osmond also dropped out of the squad, and so have Jamai Simpson-Pusey and Shin Yamada. And as a lot of people are pointing out, that's 4 summer signings. 4 signings we made during the summer transfer window who didn't even make the squad for the Europa League, and that is a pretty scathing indictment of the work we did in the summer transfer window. I'm pretty disappointed not to see Shin Yamada in. I felt he should have been in there, and he could have taken one of the wingers' spots, possibly someone like Hyunjun Yang, who the club seemed pretty happy to let go a number of days ago. So that didn't make sense to me, to be honest. I mean, Shin came on at Ibrox last weekend and kind of did all right. I'm not saying like he's the second coming of Larsson or Kyogo or whatever. I do have some doubts, to be honest, over him actually being a good player for us. I think he looks pretty raw, but he should be in that squad, because the one thing we do have now is actually quite a few wing options. So I think, as I say, one of them could have dropped out to make way for Shin. It's not a great look. I think that Kelechi Iheanacho is already just taking Shin Yamada's spot, even though he's probably not even fit at the moment and certainly hasn't played for the club. So that wasn't ideal, but anyway, that's just the situation. The other one is Jamai Simpson-Pusey, who has missed out on the squad. And yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. A player we signed, I think, a month ago tomorrow, and he hasn't played a single competitive minute for us. He's actually only made the matchday squad in 2 matches so far, and it was the 2 games against Kairat, where you can name us a bench with 12 players on it, rather than the 9 you're allowed in domestic matches. So that seems to be the only reason that Simpson-Pusey's even made any matchday squads. But yeah, a bit of an embarrassing one, to be honest, because when he was announced, as I say, a month ago, both Brendan Rodgers and Simpson-Pusey spoke about Europe in the wee quotes they give. I know they haven't necessarily actually said those quotes themselves. We know how these things work, and they might have probably been written by someone else and then just run by Brendan Rodgers and Jamai Simpson-Pusey. But regardless, the quotes that were attributed to both of them on the announcement thing on the website, Brendan Rodgers spoke about the matches we have coming up at home and abroad and how Simpson-Pusey would help us in those games. He's not going to be helping us abroad. And also Simpson-Pusey himself was quoted as saying, "It'll be good for me to come and hopefully help the team to win the league again and do well in Europe." There have been some rumours going about that you may have seen about Simpson-Pusey potentially refusing to play for the B team in order to get some fitness together. I'm not sure if that is actually the case. What I would say is that him not making the Europa League squad certainly doesn't alleviate those concerns that there's something going on here. So I know it's incredibly early days, but I'm already viewing this Jahmai Simpson-Pusey signing as, a bit of a disaster. I mean, not making the Europa League squad, you've really got to question what the hell the point in signing him was if he wasn't going to make the Europa League squad. So is there an attitude problem there? Is he right to have that attitude? I mean, he's a guy coming on loan from Man City. Should he be playing for the Celtic B team? You can have whatever thoughts you want on it. The reality is that, as I say, as it stands right now, not a particularly good signing looking at things. Simpson-Pusey himself clearly reeling from this decision. He took to Instagram to post, "At Prep Your Soul, proper food, hands up emoji." Should say that you might be wondering about Colby Donovan. He wasn't on that list. Reason for that, and I did mention this yesterday, Colby Donovan was born after the 1st of January 2004 and has also spent a period of 2 uninterrupted years at Celtic. So that means that he can be registered on List B. So as much as Colby Donovan wasn't on that 24-man squad, he will still be available for us in the Europa League. And we might well be needing him, certainly in the couple of domestic matches that are coming up, because there was a report yesterday from Derek McGregor at the Scottish Sun saying that Anthony Ralston is poised to pull out of the Scotland squad. They say that Anthony Ralston went into Sunday's derby at Ibrox still feeling the effects of an ankle knock that he picked up in Almaty against Kairat. They say that he's a doubt for at least the visit to Kilmarnock a week on Sunday, and clearly with Alistair Johnson out as well, that would appear to open the door for Colby Donovan to play in that game. So hopefully that's what happens. I really hope we don't try and play like Kieran Tierney or Marcelo Saracchi at right back. If Anthony Ralston's not available, give Colby Donovan the opportunity. I thought he was one of our better performers when he came on against Kairat. I think generally in pre-season, I've been quite impressed by him. And there's plenty of stories in recent years of Celtic youth players kind of been thrown into things. That's kind of how a lot of players get their break, is being thrown in at the deep end and functioning quite well. I'm thinking like Paul Caddis straight away. I'm actually thinking Anthony Ralston, who, maybe struggled a bit when he was thrown into that PSG game. I don't think that was actually his first ever game for us. But yeah, I think Colby Donovan, let's see what he's got, because, our options at right back at the moment aren't great, and I would much rather he played than, as I say, we try and put Kieran Tierney or Marcelo Saracchi on that side. So hopefully he gets his opportunity, hopefully he takes it, and hopefully Anthony Ralston isn't out for too long. Right, everyone, we've all seen it. That transfer window was absolutely dire. Celtic were moving slower than a dial-up connection in the 90s, which I definitely know about. And speaking of being stuck in the past, there's no excuse for leaving yourself unprotected online in 2025. That's why I use NordVPN. Just like we wish Celtic had moved quicker in the market, NordVPN is lightning fast when it comes to keeping you safe and letting you connect wherever you want in the world. Whether you're abroad and want to watch Celtic, or you just don't want anyone snooping on your browsing, don't settle for a weak defence on or off the pitch. Check out NordVPN and get the best discount. It's nordvpn.com/CelticAM. Supports the channel as well, gets you protected, and the link's in the description. The club did quietly announce a number of fixture changes yesterday. I think 9 games in total moving over to a Sunday. The majority of them due to us playing in the UEFA Europa League this season. So I'm not going to go through all of these games because that would be an incredibly boring minute or whatever. But suffice to say, we've got a lot of Sunday football to look forward to. So let's look forward to that. In terms of what else is going on at the club right now, yesterday an open letter to Celtic was released. It was signed by 87 CSCs, 4 fan organisations and 10 fan media organisations. For anyone wondering why Celtic AM weren't on there as part of the fan media outlets, it's quite simple really. We weren't asked, which is fine. It's difficult getting these things together so quickly. So no dramas there. I have reached out to North Curve Celtic to be asked to be added to the list of signatories, and it's fair to say that I fully endorse their message. I won't read this out in full. I will stick it on screen though, so you can pause if needs be. Effectively, it was a series of questions for Michael Nicholson, Chris Mackay, Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond. These questions included the long-term football strategy, they included transfer business, the fan survey that was conducted, I think, last July, so like over a year ago, accountability and some other issues as well. So will we hear anything from Celtic in the coming days? You would have to doubt it because Celtic's policy in these difficult times is just to go silent. And I think the next person we hear from is pretty likely to be Brendan Rodgers, regardless of whether they put out a Celtic TV interview with Brendan Rodgers, which there's maybe an outside chance of happening. I think, potentially the most likely scenario here is the next person we hear from who's employed by Celtic is Brendan Rodgers next Friday at his press conference ahead of the Kilmarnock game, which is interesting. And to be honest, it's even more interesting when you look at what happened across the city yesterday. I'm not sure if you caught this, but yesterday Rangers posted a 20-minute interview on YouTube with their sporting director, Kevin Thelwell, who is not a popular figure at Ibrox right now. And things are not good at Ibrox right now. I think we know that. They're struggling very badly on the pitch, but they do appear to have things together far more than us off the pitch, sadly. And what I mean by that is that regardless of Kevin Thelwell not being a popular figure at the moment, he wasn't hiding yesterday. He was in front of the Rangers TV cameras, a 20-minute interview, and actually tackling some pretty tough questions as well. It wasn't just, softballs from the from Rangers TV. I was looking at some of the questions that were asked actually. So questions like, what is it that gives you the confidence that Russell Martin is the right guy to take Rangers forward? There's a question on the pragmatic approach from Rangers in the derby and whether that's something they're going to employ more going forward. In terms of transfers, there was talk about, or questions about the club's outlay, the strategy of bringing in lots of loan players, the focus on players playing in England, the left-back position specifically. There was also the Nico Raskin and Hamza Igaman situation and the uncertainty there with, Raskin in particular, because Igaman's left them now. Talk on Nicholas Raskin's future and also what's next for Rangers. Just one answer I want to give you, and I don't really care about this at all, but it's more just to give you an idea of the kind of openness here and the answers that Thelwell was providing. So this was on Raskin. Thelwell was asked, what's the situation here with Raskin at the moment? And he answered saying, well, he's away on international duty now. So to my mind, what happens is he goes on international duty, he comes back as a Rangers player, and when he comes back, Russell and I sit down with Nico and talk about what we do next. And again, it's very important that we all understand that we all want the same thing. And again, I don't actually care at all about what happens here, but it's more just like the principle of, like the Raskin stuff is like a kind of big issue with the Rangers support at the moment. He's one of their top players. He didn't play in the derby. He was kind of, I think he trained with our youth team or B team or whatever on the Friday before the derby. Like, this is a kind of a big thing going on there, a falling out between Raskin and Martin. And here they are tackling it head on. Now, can you imagine a similar situation at Celtic, and how would we tackle it? Well, we wouldn't tackle it at all. There would be no interview like this. But even if there was an interview like this on Celtic TV, well, one, it would probably be behind a paywall. And that's not me even trying to be funny. It probably would be, let's be honest. And two, you wouldn't have these kind of questions being asked. It would just be incredibly straightforward, non-controversial questions. And to be honest, a lot of us would probably even settle for that. We'd settle just to hear and see Michael Nicholson out there, or even anyone else from the club who isn't Brendan Rodgers, any kind of key decision maker who isn't Brendan Rodgers. And I should point out here, I'm not actually praising Rangers here. One, because I would never, ever, ever do that. But also because they're not doing anything spectacular here. This isn't anything incredible Rangers are doing. Other clubs are doing this as well. And I'll come on to them. But I was also looking, their CEO, Patrick Stewart, has been on YouTube a number of times in recent months. Their new chairman, Andrew Kavanagh, has been on YouTube a number of times. Even the Rangers fan media outlets have like, not necessarily interviews, but they have like kind of recordings of things Kavanagh has said that have clearly been sent to them by the club, or they've been allowed to record by the club. Again, something that Celtic fan media aren't allowed, which would be fine if Celtic were doing it themselves, but they're not. But as I say, this isn't just Rangers. I was looking at Hearts and their YouTube channel. They post a quarterly update with their CEO, a guy called Andrew McKinley. So that's obviously every 3 months. The most recent one, which I think was in July, he tackled a number of issues. It was a 20-minute chat. Even issues like the new kits and the new sponsor deal with Hummel, again, just very open. Aberdeen's chairman, Dave Cormack, had a 1-hour interview on their YouTube channel at the end of last season, talking about investment, talking about the future, addressing, difficulties with Jimmy Tillene as well. We know that the Aberdeen chief executive, Alan Burrows, isn't shy of the cameras either. New Hibernian CEO Dan Barnett was in front of the Hibs TV cameras alongside chairman Ian Gordon shortly after being appointed. That was a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about their plans for the future, talking directly to the Hibs support, letting them in on the plans. Dundee United chief executive Luigi Capuano gave an interview earlier this year as well. Again, the same thing. Those are kind of the major clubs in Scotland, and Celtic are the only one not doing this. And I didn't have time to check like all the Premiership clubs, all the Championship clubs, but virtually every club is doing this. Even if not on YouTube, they're posting things on their website, and key figures at the club are being heard. The only time we ever hear from Michael Nicholson is those wee interviews they do at the AGM. And I'm not positive in this, but I think that's like a requirement of an AGM, isn't it? So when people talk about Celtic fans being spoiled, you're in an incredible position. You've won the league. 13 out of the last 14. You're top of the league this year. You've won so many cups. What's the issue? Why are you moaning? It's things like this. It's the whole kind of makeup of the club and the way they do things, and the kind of constant firefighting and the constant pragmatism that appears to be the case and is the case at Celtic. It's almost as if they view everyone as the enemy and everyone's a threat, including the Celtic support. I just can't get my head around why in 2025 you wouldn't want the support to be on that journey with you. You wouldn't want to be telling the support the good things you're doing. Is it because you're not doing good things? Is it because you know deep down that the things you're doing aren't fit for a football club in 2025? They're dated. That's the kind of conclusion I would come to anyway, for one of the reasons they're not being, outward with what they're saying and sharing things. They know deep down that their methods are out of date. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting to go through those other clubs and point out one of the criticisms we have here. It's not the only criticism, because like if Celtic were still, failing to strengthen for the Champions League and leaving all the transfer business to the end and not replacing various positions and not releasing the fan survey stuff and not improving the matchday experience at Celtic Park and all of these other things, but telling us about it, it wouldn't just mean everything is okay. It's almost just the icing on top of the cake, or whatever the kind of negative one of that would be. The fact that they're not even engaging with the support who put all this money into the club. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. I don't think this fan frustration is going anywhere. It's only going to increase if we continue not to hear from the club. We have to hear from the club. I know we're not going to, but Michael Nicholson should give an interview during this international break. He should front up. He should take accountability for what's gone wrong. He should explain what the club are going to do about this in the future to make things right. And he should outline what the plan is here to make Celtic world class, like he said at Brendan Rodgers' unveiling. It's not going to happen, but that's what should happen. Anyway, that was fun, everyone. If you want a wee bit more chat from me, by the way, the Celtic Way Weekly episode 4 went up last night. If you've not caught it before, it's a weekly show, the only other Celtic chat that I do other than on here. And I do it with my good pal, John McGinley. So please check that out. I really enjoyed recording this week's one. And I promise we didn't just cover the same stuff that I did there. So, good way to spend an hour of your time. In terms of on here, I will return tomorrow.